Dana Abercrombie, The Koalition. Hello. It is a
Hello.
pleasure to speak to you.
Thank
This
you.
movie was so much fun, and what I loved best was that it was completely unpredictable. I
Right.
thought I was getting, the astronaut or scientist goes up to space, saves the world, and, we just wait, and maybe he dies at the end, and
Right.
a nice sad song plays. But this is not at all that. This is a completely different edge of your seat. It turns into a thriller. There's moments where it's like their love story, and then there's a lot of tension. What I love about your role is you play the ultimate mom with so much going on in the world, and you're just trying to bring everyone together. Can you talk about how was you able to dissect this character and really get into her head?
Yeah. I know a lot of it was very accessible to me, obviously, because I'm a mom as well.
Mhm.
I felt that the circumstances in the film were very relatable. Uh, it's not like I am a biophysicist trying to figure out the mathematical equations to divert this comet from hitting the Earth. I'm literally like looking at my kid, looking at my husband, going, "What do we do? Let's get the fuck out of here." And I love the emotional journey that the characters start and end on, everything that happens in between. And so it was a really like juicy and emotionally like thrilling ride to go on as an actor.
Now, was there any type of research or anything that you did in particular to really get into the brain of the character? Because there's so much without spoiling anything, but there's so many different beats and so many different emotions. Was you able to live through that character?
Yeah, it was tough at first, and definitely took some muscle memory and like just really allowing yourself to be in the space and in the situation. But it was also fun. I mean, it made sense to me. I wasn't trying to fit an emotion where it didn't belong.
Right. Now, also with this, there's I'm going to assume a lot of different special effects. I don't know how if there were a lot of green screen, that kind of work that you had to do. As an actress, when you're working, if there is any type of green screen, does that kind of not hinder, but make the performance trying to get there a little bit harder? Or do you like that kind of working with your different imagination?
I enjoy it sometimes. It can be difficult, especially when you don't know exactly what the special effect is going to look like, because then sometimes I'll see it after and I'm like, well, I would have reacted totally different to that. And this movie, we had a bit of that. I mean, Rick was really good at the director at like explaining in detail what was happening.
Right.
And a lot of the scenes he's talking at us like, now there's a big boom, now there's a streak of fire that crosses the sky from left to right, now there's a sonic, whatever. And so we were reacting to his speaking,
Right.
when I see it in the film now, I'm like, okay, this made sense. Like he actually knew what the effects were before shooting the scene. So we were all on the same page, but there wasn't a lot of green screen. We were, in an actual Air Force base for the stuff with the airplanes. And
Right.
we were on the highway for the highway things. It was all very practical, which I think made it really real.
Now, also, there's some really great chemistry between you and the other two actors that actually play your son and Gerard Butler. Was there any kind of rehearsal in order to get that kind of bond?
Yeah, we rehearsed quite a bit for a couple of weeks. And Jerry and I specifically spent a lot of time together reconstructing our characters' background story and how they met and what the issues were in their marriage and where they were at now, so that we had specific things to draw from. Roger and I, the boy who plays Nathan, spent some time together getting to know each other. I really wanted him to trust me and to be able to take direction from me, because when you're in, we were shooting very quickly, often without rehearsals on the days that we were shooting. And, I needed him to get to the emotions that he had to get to fairly quickly. And we learned, the director and I figured out that like, if he needed something, if I just told him what to do, he could just do it really quickly right away. So we channeled it through me to be able to communicate to him.
Now, as you're constructing your background story, do you feel that was there any changes that was made along with the script in order to fit that background?
Yeah, Jerry had used his own Scottish accent. We felt it was really important for him to feel very natural and feel like himself. We adjusted some minor things where it felt like I was being bitchy and petulant about the marriage not working and not owning up to my own part in it. I thought it was much more important and stronger because he, you know, it's implied that he cheats on her, that she's complicit in it too, in a sense, that she kind of shut down and wasn't interested and just was mad at him, you know, and it kind of drove him away. So that it was more active for her. She wasn't just like a scorned woman. And then it also felt some of the, we added some more, you know, just like active things for her to be doing throughout the film that kept her from becoming a victim.
Now, if you could sit down with your character, what advice would you think you would give each other?
I would tell her to take a really long vacation now. That's a good question, though. I think that we are very similar in the sense that, like, we're both fighters and we're both like, you know, we don't just like sit back and take it. I think we would both tell each other to be more forgiving of our partners and to not hold ourselves to such a high bar.
Now, if you could look back and look forward a little bit into the future, with the whole events that happened, do you feel that the marriage that your character has would get stronger or would break apart through these whole series of events?
I think stronger. I think now that they've been through this, you know, it has a way of like shining a light on what's really important. Mm-hmm. And I feel like they now see what that is.
Now, there was also really a lot of unexpected moments. I loved the grocery, the scene with the pharmacy that was like, oh my God. There's a scene later on in the highway, what happens with the son, that I was like, oh my God. As you was reading the script and kind of finding out what was happening in advance, because you kind of know these kind of plot twists, is there certain kind of tools that you would use in order to play these emotions?
Yeah, I think I just really had to drop myself into the story. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't know a single mother, and I have 2 kids myself, who wouldn't tear up at the thought of something like that happening to them, you know? So I think it's just about allowing yourself to be present in the scene that you're in.
Right. And also, I was wondering, there's a lot of great little moments that you have. Is there a particular part or scene that you really gravitated to when you watched it again?
Yeah, I really love when, after she goes through so much, her son and, you know, losing her husband and then not knowing where they are and trying to get both of them back again. And then she sees her father for the first time. Mm-hmm. I loved shooting that scene and I loved watching it. Scott Glenn, first of all, is an amazing actor. But just this, you feel a little bit of a pressure release in the film, which you really need because it's just been boiling and boiling and boiling and it's been so relentless. And she finally is allowed a moment to go, oh my God, I got my kid back. I'm reconnected to my husband. But the person that she allows herself to be vulnerable with and to let her guard down with is her father. And I think that's very telling.
And lastly, Greenland we have is the location. Greenland is also the title of the movie. Do you believe that Greenland is a metaphor for something else?
Yes. I think it's, you know, it definitely falls into that category. You know, at the end of the film, there's hope and we will rebuild and we will survive as a civilization. And the idea of green and, you know, a new land is all part of that rejuvenation of humanity. But there are actual real bunkers in Greenland. This actually exists under the ice. So it's based on an actual place.
Thank you so much for speaking
with
me.
Thanks so much.